I've lived in the small town of Crestwood my whole life. It's the kind of place where nothing really happens, except for one thing, the berries. Everyone in Crestwood knows about the berries. They grow wild in the forest just outside of town, scattered through a grove of thick, twisted trees. No one knows what kind they are. Exactly. They're not blueberries, raspberries, or anything else you'd see at the grocery store. They're just berries, blood red, almost black in the shadows, glistening as if wet. We were always told to stay away from them. Don't eat the berries. The adults would warn us. They're dangerous. They never explained why, though. Just stern looks and that simple command, don't eat them. When I was a kid, I was curious, but I never questioned it. Not until I grew older. Not until I started hearing the stories, the disappearances, animals, and sometimes people, who ventured too deep into the grove, never to return. There were whispers that those who ate the berries changed, became something else, but no one ever talked about it openly. It was the summer of my 17th year when my best friend, Evan, got the idea. He was always the brave one, always daring, and he couldn't stand the mystery any longer. He wanted to go out there, to the grove, and find out for himself. I tried to talk him out of it, but he wouldn't listen. It's just an old wives' tale, he'd say, grinning. Come on, Ryan, don't be such a wimp. So, one hot, humid evening, we went. The sun was setting as we entered the forest, painting the sky in violent shades of orange and red. The deeper we went, the darker it became, until the trees closed in around us, thick and silent. I could feel the air change. It was heavy, almost suffocating, as we approached the grove. And there they were, the berries. They hung from the branches like drops of congealed blood, dark and swollen. Evan was already grinning as he reached for one, plucking it from the branch. I felt a knot of dread tighten in my gut, but I said nothing. I watched in frozen horror as he popped it into his mouth, chewing slowly. See, he said, his voice smug. Nothing's happening. But something was happening. His eyes, wide and gleaming in the dim light, suddenly rolled back in his head, and he collapsed. I rushed to him, shouting his name, shaking him, but he wouldn't wake up. His breathing was shallow, erratic, his skin, pale and clammy. Then, I saw it. His lips, they were stained with the juice of the berry, and as I watched, the color seemed to move, spreading, twisting, like veins crawling beneath his skin. His chest rose and fell in uneven, jerky motions, and then, the worst part, his mouth opened, but instead of words, a low, gurgling sound escaped. His body convulsed violently, and his skin started to split. From inside him, something dark and twisted began to emerge. It was like watching a flower bloom, but this thing was no flower. Long, thorny tendrils wriggled out of his mouth, curling and snapping in the air. They were covered in tiny, bulbous berries, just like the ones hanging from the trees. I tried to back away, but my legs wouldn't move. My body was frozen in terror as the tendrils spread, wrapping around his body, pulling him apart from the inside. His skin peeled away like paper, revealing a mass of writhing, bloody roots. And then, with a sickening crack, his body exploded, showering the forest floor with chunks of flesh, bone, and those damned berries. The air was filled with the sickly sweet scent of them, cloying and thick, making my stomach turn. I ran. I don't even remember how I made it out of the forest, but somehow, I did. I didn't stop until I was home, slamming the door behind me, gasping for air. I could still feel the sticky warmth of Evan's blood on my skin. The image of his body, no, that thing, burned into my mind. I tried to tell people what had happened, but no one believed me. They said Evan must have run off, that he would turn up eventually, but I knew he wasn't coming back. And then, 2 nights later, I heard it. A tapping at my window. I froze, my heart racing, but I didn't dare look. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, until finally, I couldn't ignore it any longer. Slowly, I turned, my blood running cold. There, outside the window, was Evan. But it wasn't him, not anymore. His face was pale, his eyes sunken, and his skin had taken on a sickly, reddish hue. His mouth, oh God, his mouth, it was filled with those berries, spilling out over his lips, staining his chin, and from his chest, I could see the writhing mass of tendrils, the thorns and the berries growing out of him like some twisted parasite. He smiled, his teeth black with rot, and he spoke in a voice that was barely human anymore. I'm hungry, Ryan. Won't you join me? I slammed the window shut, locking it, barricading myself inside, but the tapping didn't stop. It's been days now. He's still out there. Every night, the tapping grows louder, and every night, I see more figures standing beside him. People I know, people who have eaten the berries. I don't know how much longer I can hold out. The worst part? I can still taste them. The berries. That sweet, metallic tang in the air, it's in my mouth, on my tongue. I haven't eaten them. I swear I haven't. But they're growing inside me. I can feel them, writhing, spreading through my veins. It won't be long now. I think I'm going to open the door. I didn't open the door that night. I thought I could fight it, hold on a little longer. But the taste of those berries, that awful sweetness, it was like poison in my veins. I couldn't sleep, couldn't think. Every breath felt like it was dragging me deeper into some dark place, some twisted version of myself. The tapping at the window stopped eventually, but then, the whispers started. At first, I thought it was my imagination, the product of exhaustion and fear. But no, they were real. I could hear Evan's voice, low and raspy, just outside. Not just his, though, others, too, people I knew, people from town. They were calling my name, telling me to come outside, telling me to join them. Every night, it got worse. The whispers turned into something else, screams, blood-curdling, and human howls that echoed through my house, filling every corner, bouncing off the walls until it felt like they were closing in. I couldn't escape it, no matter where I went. The sound followed, burrowing into my skull, driving me mad. I couldn't take it anymore. That was when I noticed something else, my skin. It had begun to itch. At first, just a mild irritation, like a mosquito bite, but it didn't stop. I scratched until my skin was raw and bleeding, but the itching only intensified. I pulled up my shirt one night, desperate to find the source, and what I saw nearly made me vomit. Beneath my skin, dark veins were beginning to spread. They crawled under the surface like tendrils, snaking their way across my chest, my arms. I could feel them moving, feel them growing. The berries were inside me now, just like they had been inside Evan. I was becoming one of them. I tried everything to stop it, cutting at the veins, burning them, even drinking bleach in some desperate attempt to kill whatever was inside me. Nothing worked. The more I fought, the faster they grew. The whispers outside turned into laughter, mocking, cruel laughter that echoed in my head. I started to lose track of time. Days and nights blurred together in a haze of pain, fear, and insanity. I barely slept, too afraid of what would happen if I closed my eyes. And then, one night, the door unlocked itself. I didn't touch it, I swear. It just opened, slowly, creaking on its hinges, as if something was waiting for me. I knew I shouldn't go out there. Every instinct screamed at me to stay inside, to lock myself away. But the berries inside me had taken over. I wasn't in control anymore. I stepped outside. They were waiting for me. Evan, his face twisted and deformed, covered in that writhing mass of tendrils and thorns. Beside him stood the others, their bodies mangled and hollow, nothing but shells of who they once were, their eyes black, soulless, locked onto me. "You're one of us now, Ryan," Evan rasped. "You can't fight it." And I couldn't. The moment I stepped outside, I felt the transformation accelerate. The veins under my skin pulsed and throbbed, bursting through the surface in a sickening display. My flesh tore apart, but I didn't feel pain anymore. All I felt was hunger. I collapsed to the ground, my body convulsing as the berries took over. My vision blurred, my limbs twisted at unnatural angles, and from deep within me, I could feel the thorns, sharp, piercing, tearing through my organs, replacing them with something else. I don't know how long it lasted, but when it was over, I wasn't human anymore. I stood up, or whatever was left of me did. I could see my reflection in the window. My face was gone, replaced by a mass of dark, twisting tendrils, sprouting with hundreds of those accursed berries. My eyes, no, the hollow pits where they used to be, stared back at me, empty. But the worst part? I could still think. I was still me, buried deep inside this monstrosity, trapped, helpless. I wasn't just dead, I was worse than dead. Now, I walked the woods with them, waiting for someone else to make the same mistake, to taste the berries, to let them grow inside. Because that's the thing, once the berries take hold, they never stop spreading. They spread through the earth, through the roots, through the air. There's no escaping it. The next time you feel the wind rustle through the trees, or hear a whisper in the dark, remember this: we're always watching. We're always hungry. And sooner or later, you'll eat the berries too. It's been months since I joined them. The town is quiet now, almost too quiet, but I can feel it. Beneath the ground, beneath the surface of everything, the berries are spreading. Soon, Crestwood will be no more. And then, we'll move on. To your town. To your home. And once you taste the berries, there's no going back. We'll be waiting for you. There's something you need to understand about the berries. It's not just Crestwood. It's not just some cursed corner of the world where the forest has a strange secret. No, it's bigger than that, much bigger. The berries are spreading. They've been spreading for centuries, moving from town to town, forest to forest, silently taking root beneath the soil, reaching out with their thorny tendrils, waiting for the next fool to take a bite. Crestwood was just one of the many places they've claimed. Now, they're moving beyond the borders of our town, slowly infecting everything in their path. And it's not just the forest anymore. It started with animals. I've seen them, the deer, the squirrels, even the birds, all twisted, their bodies bloated and riddled with the same black veins that took over Evan. Their eyes are gone, replaced by dark, hollow pits. They don't act like animals anymore. They don't run when you approach. They just watch. Then it spread to the fields, the crops, the gardens. Everything was touched. People in town started noticing that the vegetables they grew tasted wrong. At first, it was subtle, just a strange aftertaste, a faint hint of sweetness that shouldn't have been there. But it didn't take long before the berries appeared among the leaves. Small at first, almost unnoticeable, but growing larger every day. By the time people realized, it was too late. The food was poisoned, the water, too. One by one, people in town began to change. First, it was small things, a cough that wouldn't go away, a strange rash, a persistent itch beneath the skin. Then came the hallucinations. They started seeing the berries everywhere, even when they weren't there, in their homes, in their beds. People stopped eating altogether, terrified that they were already infected, but hunger drove them mad. Some of them locked themselves in their houses, trying to escape the inevitable, but it didn't matter. The berries always found a way in. The town is a ghost town now. What remains of Crestwood is little more than a graveyard of hollowed-out shells. The people who survived, they're not people anymore. They wander the streets at night, their eyes empty, their bodies bloated and twisted, dripping with those sickly sweet berries. And all they want, all they need, is for more people to join them. I don't know how I'm still alive. Maybe it's because I was one of the first. Maybe it's because the berries are keeping me alive, forcing me to witness what's coming. I can't leave the town. It won't let me. I've tried to run. But every time I get close to the edge, the ground opens up, the thorns reach out, and I'm pulled back. But I can still see what's happening outside. I hacked into the town's surveillance cameras the other day. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I just wanted to see something human again, something normal. What I saw instead made my blood run cold. It's not just Crestwood anymore. The berries are everywhere. The cities, the towns, they're slowly creeping in. People are still going about their lives, shopping, walking their dogs, going to work, but the signs are there. In the parks, the berries are starting to grow, hidden in the bushes, in the markets, among the fruits and vegetables. I saw it, just a few, scattered here and there, but they were unmistakable, and the people, they don't notice. They just walk by, oblivious, as if the berries are part of the world now. I saw a mother buy a basket of fruit. Her little girl reached in, grabbing a handful of berries. I screamed at the screen, but there was nothing I could do. I watched as the child bit into one, the juice running down her chin. Her mother smiled, oblivious. She doesn't know what's coming. None of them do. I've tried to warn people online, but no one believes me. They think I'm crazy, some conspiracy theorist or troll, but the berries are already inside them, taking root. Soon, it won't matter what they believe. There's no stopping it now. The berries are part of the world. They're in the food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe. They're growing, silently, invisibly, inside you. You might not feel it yet, but you will. The itching will start, and when you scratch at your skin, you'll feel them just beneath the surface, waiting. And then, when they're ready, they'll tear you apart from the inside. I don't know how much longer I have. The berries inside me have started to grow again. I can feel them tightening around my heart, my lungs. I can barely breathe now. I don't know what will happen when they finally break through, but I have a feeling I'll be like Evan. I'll be one of them. If you're reading this, it's already too late for you. The berries are coming for you, too. Maybe you've already eaten one. Maybe they're already inside you, waiting for the right moment to take over. You can't run. You can't hide. The world belongs to the berries now. And soon, so will you.